Let me ask you something. What if more studying is the reason your LSAT score isn't improving? Seriously, grinding through endless practice tests, highlighting every passage, and second-guessing every wrong answer might actually be killing your progress. Today, I'm going to show you the right way to study so you can skip the trial and error phase and jump straight into strategies that work. These are the exact methods I'd use if I were studying for the LSAT in 2025. And today, I'm going to share with you a step-by-step game plan to crush the LSAT without wasting time, energy, or sanity. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally raised my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. And over the past 20 years, I've helped thousands of students unlock top-tier scores by ditching the myths, avoiding burnout, and setting themselves up for success. Now, here's the first thing you need to understand. Studying harder does not mean studying smarter. Most students fall into the same trap. They think, if I just do more, I'll get better. So they take 5 practice tests in a single week without reviewing mistakes. They memorize question types instead of understanding the logic behind them, and they burn themselves out trying to study for 6 hours straight after a full day of work or school. Does that sound familiar? It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. The LSAT does not reward effort, it rewards strategy. So my fix for you is to cut the fluff and focus on targeted practice. If logical reasoning trips you up, don't kind of study all question types. Drill down into your weakest ones like necessary assumption or strengthen until they become second nature. For reading comp, stop obsessing over every detail in the passage. Instead, learn to read for structure. I'll share more on this later. Now, one of my students, Maya, was stuck at a 158 for months. She was convinced she needed to do more. But once we focused her study plan on targeted drills and prioritized review over busy work, she increased her score to a 166 in just 5 weeks. Now, of course, you can't create a winning strategy if you don't know where you're starting. So my first step for you is to take a full-length timed practice test. Then analyze your results. Look for patterns like which question types trip you up the most. Are you consistently running out of time in certain sections, or maybe you miss more questions in the first half of the test rather than the second? Now, here's the thing. Your diagnostic score is not a reflection of your potential. It's just a snapshot of where you are right now. Think of it like stepping on a scale before starting a fitness program. You're gathering data, not passing judgment. Now, don't skip this step because you're afraid of a low score. One of my students, Chris, started at a 145 and didn't even want to look at his diagnostic results. But after we broke down his weak areas, he realized he'd been making the same mistakes over and over again. By fixing them, he hit a 160 within just 2 months. Now, here's the golden rule of LSAT prep. Consistency beats intensity every single time. And that comes together with building a study plan that actually works for you. So 3 to 6 months before test day, you want to study 2 to 3 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, focusing on building foundational skills. Then take 1 exam every couple weeks to track your progress. Then 1 or 2 months before test day, shift into timed practice sections and full-length exams, drill your weak areas relentlessly, and simulate test day conditions to build up your mental endurance. Then in the final week, cut back on studying to focus on reviewing key concepts. Of course, at this point, you want to prioritize rest, confidence, and mental clarity. Of course, given the recent changes to the LSAT, logical reasoning is now 2/3 of the exam because they removed logic games. So here's how to dominate logical reasoning. First, understand the question types. Don't just memorize them, know what each type is actually asking you for. For example, for necessary assumption questions, you want to look for what is a missing link between the evidence and the conclusion. For strengthening questions, what would make the argument more solid? For weakeners, what pokes a hole in the argument? You also want to practice dissecting arguments. Think of every single logical reasoning question like a mini puzzle. Break it down into the evidence, the conclusion, and any assumptions, meaning what's left unsaid. Then predict before you look. Before reading the choices, ask yourself, what would the right answer look like? This stops you from falling for tricky traps. Now, of course, you don't want to neglect reading comp. I know it gives a lot of you nightmares, but it's because you're approaching it the wrong way. A lot of students are reading the passage like it's a history textbook instead of a puzzle. The fix is to read for structure, not details. The LSAT doesn't care if you know every name, every date, or every example. What they do care about is what's the main point, how do the paragraphs relate to each other, and where does the author reveal their opinion. After each paragraph of the passage, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what is the purpose of this paragraph and how does it fit into the bigger picture? Now, here's a secret most students don't know. You don't need to answer every single question in order to hit a 170 plus. Instead of rushing through all 25 questions in logical reasoning, aim to nail the first 20 to 22 questions with precision, flag and skip a few that seem hard, and come back to them later. It's better to confidently answer the 22 easier ones than to get bogged down or stuck on the hardest ones that you could always come back to later. Now, of course, don't neglect review because that's where the magic happens. For every question that you get wrong or have difficulty with, ask yourself, why was my answer wrong? Why was the right one right? And what trap did I fall for? And how can I avoid it the next time around? You also want to make sure you're building up your endurance and focus as you get towards test day because the LSAT is not just a test of logic, it's a mental marathon. Make sure you're taking several full-length timed exams in the final month before the test. Stick to the official format of the actual exam to build up your stamina and practice staying focused for the entire duration of the test. Now, if you're thinking, this all sounds great, but I have no idea how to apply to my specific situation, don't worry. That is exactly what I help my students with at LSAT Unplugged. For example, one of my students, Rachel, was stuck in the mid-150s, but after just a few sessions where we fine-tuned her timing and her logical reasoning strategy, she scored a 167. So if you want personalized help like that, you could check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, I know the LSAT might seem intimidating, but here's the truth. It's a skill you can learn. Focus on strategy, consistency, and the right mindset, and you'll see results. And if you'd like more help, I put together a free, easy LSAT cheat sheet to help you jumpstart your prep or serve as a quick refresher. It's linked below this video. You can grab your copy, and again, it's 100% free. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.